local markets. So how many are here because wine was in the title? You can be honest, please.
And you look at that volume, this is just imported wine and spirits coming into the United States. It is some serious volume product. And you look at the beer alone. Now, Heineken probably imports about 100,000 TEUs out of that 194 that's showing up. If Corona shipped via ocean, that number would be much, much more as well. Most of that's moving overland from Mexico. But it is serious business, and the logistics of moving the wine and spirits is big business as well.
Most of our freight that we import into Southeast Asia, we're booking out of the Southeast Asian offices. And there's a couple reasons for that. The most important reason for us is credit terms. I can book a reefer out of our Singapore office from the port of Oakland or Long Beach, and the credit terms don't take effect until that reefer lands in Singapore. If I book it out of our LA office, I have 30 days from the time that reefer sails to pay. So we're extending our credit terms by an extra 30 days. It helps our cash flow. So yeah, we a lot of the booking goes from overseas for exports. Although I do see value in changing that. I'd like to have control over our shipping. I'd like to have the relationship with the freight companies, and I do like to offer that service to our customers. If we're exporting wines to a customer somewhere in Asia, I'd like to offer them that service. We'll take care of your logistics, we'll take care of your consolidation, and that way we can guarantee that you're going to get the product and the quality that needs to be served.
Cobalt still continues to offer pretty significant savings. I think in the long term, Alison talked about this, the driver shortage issue isn't going away. I know that it's on everyone's mind, and it's going to continue. I think it'll be a bigger issue down the road. Intermodal isn't completely, it still has exposure in that regard. They have to have pick up an origin and delivery. So I think long haul is going to be impacted the most, but short haul still will be impacted. And then just a transit comparison, I mean, today's market for intermodal, you might see an extra day or two going to the Midwest. To the East Coast, you might see 2 or 3 days. That said, and I'll talk about this on the last slide, I think there are improvements to the infrastructure that need to be made. We still run into issues recently, just in the last few weeks. In Atlanta, there were some significant delays when they were adding what normally would be a 7 or 8 day transit, being a 12 or 13 day transit due to congestion. Memphis had issues a few months ago. Obviously, the crosstown in Chicago, you're shipping to the East Coast, to New York, to Boston. The container sits in Chicago for the same amount of days as it actually makes in transit on both sides. So, especially with low fuel now, it makes over the road a little more compelling. And when you do run into these hiccups in key ramps, it makes it an easier change or an easier decision for customers to want to make sure they can switch back over the road, at least in the short term, to avoid those extended delays, especially in key times of the year when they have to have that product on shelves for the holidays. There's no option.
There are massive packaging facilities for wine in the UK because they realized that both the economic benefit and the carbon benefit of doing this were incredibly significant. So that really leads to my key question here, which is, why are we not considering in the alcohol industry more alternative packaging, more intelligent ways of getting the end product to consumer? We still want to get you a great glass of wine, don't get me wrong. We focus briefly on premium wines, but the reality is, not every consumer is drinking premium wine every day. I ask this question: how many people here open up a bottle that costs less than $10 once a week?
We're talking about 60 days until you make an order and you actually get it to market. During those 60 days, a lot of things can happen. The winery needs to talk to the suppliers of cork or bottles or labels or whatever it is that needs to produce a bottle of wine. Then it goes from the winery to distribution, and then it goes to consumption. During this whole physical flow of goods, there's also a lot of risk. Temperature, strikes in the ports, containers that are being rolled, instead of 5 weeks, now 6 weeks, or maybe it's even 7 weeks. The mountains between Chile and Argentina are closed, so you're going to get the truck when it's available to cross the mountains. Then you have the whole situation with the ports in the US. Oakland, is it going to take 2 days or is it going to take 12 days to get the container out? There's a lot of risk. During this whole flow, there's information going from forecasting back to production, right?